John had always enjoyed the quiet moments at his window, watching the world go by. The gentle sway of the trees in the breeze, the distant hum of cars, it was his sanctuary. But recently, his sanctuary had turned unsettling. Whenever he looked out, the reflection in the glass never quite matched the view outside. A bird would soar in the sky beyond, but the glass showed an empty expanse. A car would pass, but the reflection remained static. He chalked it up to stress, the mind playing tricks on a weary soul. Until that night, the moon was high, casting silvery pools of light across the room. John stood by the window, lost in thought. Out of habit, he glanced at the reflection. That's when he saw it, a dark, shadowy figure standing directly behind him. Heart pounding, he spun around. Nothing, just the empty room, lit only by the moon. He turned back to the window, and the figure was gone. He laughed nervously, shaking his head. "Get a grip, John," he muttered to himself. Over the next few nights, the shadow appeared more frequently. Each time, it was closer, more defined. The figure had no discernible features, just a mass of darkness with a vaguely human shape. Panic set in. He avoided the window, drawing the curtains tight. But the curiosity gnawed at him. One evening, he decided to face it. When the reflection reappeared, he didn't turn around. Instead, he slowly raised his phone, activating the front camera to see behind him. As the phone connected the reel with the reflected, John's breath hitched. There it was, clear as day, just inches from him. Without thinking, he lunged forward, passing right through where the figure should have been. A feeling of intense cold washed over him, freezing him to the bone. He staggered back, gasping. Something was wrong with his reflection now. It seemed different. His movements lagged, a fraction of a second behind his own. Dread crept over him. The next day, he spoke to an old friend, a historian with a penchant for the occult. She listened carefully, then handed him an old book. "Read this," she said gravely, "and be careful. Some windows show more than the outside world." That night, armed with knowledge, John approached the window again. The reflection stared back, but this time, he was ready. He whispered an incantation from the book. The figure flickered, then vanished. The glass returned to its normal state. Relief flooded over him. But as he turned away, he couldn't shake the feeling that maybe, just maybe, something was still watching from the other side.